Visitor statements.
We had one request for extended time.
Well, let me read this, Dave, and then we'll shoot here. The Board of Education welcomes and encourages and participates of its citizens in the business of school district. There are 2 points in the meeting where visitor statements are scheduled. Citizens are welcome to raise questions or make comments at either one. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes per individual and cannot be combined. Please note the Board of Education will not answer questions or engage in dialogue during visitor comments. If a person would like additional time to address the board, such a request should be submitted in writing 48 hours prior to the meeting to the superintendent. All right.
I'll get another started.
You say it's nice, you don't have to wait 2 hours.
Oh, no, I don't mind. I don't mind.
I'm moving it along for you, Dave.
It's your job, and I appreciate that. First of all, I hope you all had a wonderful holiday season and blessed one with your families. And again, thank you for giving me this opportunity tonight and the additional time. Over the last 3 months, I've addressed the board about the educational fund balance, the large amount of unused money that it's not being spent within reason on the education of the district students. Tonight, I'd like to mostly just address the comments that were made in the Landmark article last month. Number one, I and other community members who have reached out to me remain confused about the current amount of money in the ed fund balance. So in that October 8th Landmark article, which was reporting on the September 10th board meeting, the Landmark reported that the projected ed fund balance was $22.4 million, which was $19.5 million plus $2.9 million in working cash. But after that December 10th board meeting, the Landmark reported that the projected ed fund balance was now $15.8 million, which was $12.9 plus $2.9 in working cash. And so that's a difference of $6.6 million. And so my first question is did the Landmark make an error in October? I went back and I watched the video online from the September 10th board meeting, and I was confused by some of the documents that were presented that night. One showed the fund balance as $19.5 million without the working cash. Another showed it as 15.8 with the working cash. If the Landmark made an error in October, why didn't the board contact the Landmark to have them print a correction? $15.8 million versus $22.4 million is a 33.8% error. If this was an error, the board also had 3 meetings since that October meeting which they could have addressed and corrected that error, but that didn't happen. Could you imagine if one of us made a 33.8% mistake in our own monthly finances? Or what if a teacher made a 33.8% error in a student's grade? I can't believe such an error could be made and then ignored for 2 months. So would the board, at its earliest convenience, or maybe I need to speak with Ms. Matana, could they please put together a statement or presentation that's clarifying this ed fund balance, because I think it's a really important part of the district's finances, and as taxpayers, we need to know what the right amount is. Number 2, in the article, Dr. Skinkus stated that it's difficult to find a part-time teacher to alleviate the unsafe overcrowding currently in some of the chemistry classes. This may be true, although there may be a substitute teacher in the district that has science credentials that could maybe teach one chemistry class and then sub the rest of the day. However, he did neglect to mention that the science department currently has a part-time science teacher who teaches 3 classes, which is 0.6. And last May, that teacher sent an email to the administration stating that they would be willing to teach another class if the need arose. That teacher received a thank you email, but was told there would not be a change in the science FTE for 2019-20. But Dr. Skinkus knew that the enrollment numbers last spring and knew those classes were overloaded. And yet the choice was made not to spend the $11,000 or so to remedy the problem and improve the educational experiences of the 168 students that were in honors chemistry. Instead, counting on a few students changing levels, which did not happen. And currently, all 6 sections of regular chemistry are either at their cap or 1 away from the cap. So even if the students chose levels, there wouldn't be room for them to make that change. So having that part-time teacher teach 1 more class would have been an easy solution that would have greatly benefited all of our chemistry students. Number 3, I question the board practice of issuing bonuses to members of the administration. Dr. Skinkis in the article stated that half of his $23,000 bonus is a retention bonus. I looked up retention bonus and I was shocked what I read. Businesses give retention bonuses to employees who they're afraid of losing to another competitor. So a retention bonus is given to incentivize an employee to honor their contract they have signed and to not leave. But doesn't that contradict the spirit and purpose of signing a contract? I was taught that when you sign your name on a contract, you are obligated to fulfill that contract or receive penalties for failure to do so. But instead, the board chose to give bonuses to the superintendent for doing the job he has already signed up to do. And I like to reiterate, we are not, District 208 is not a business or a corporation. We are a non-profit organization. And that retention bonus alone would have corrected the unsafe overcrowding in all 6 of those honors chemistry classes. Number 4, I would like to talk a little bit more about fiscal responsibility. Last year, the district CFO was paid $90,000 plus bonuses and benefits. The board chose not to renew him after he completed his 3-year contract. But instead of replacing him with another CFO, maybe one with more experience and at a slightly higher salary, under the direction of Dr. Skinkis, former principal Kristen Smetana was promoted to Assistant Superintendent of Finance. According to the RB website, her salary last year as principal was $134,000 plus bonuses and retirement and healthcare benefits. Her salary this year in her new role is $139,000 plus those same benefits and other bonuses. So the board approved someone who was brand new to the position and is paying them $49,000 more than their predecessor. Now, I know that Ms. Matana is retaining some of her staff evaluative responsibilities from when she was principal, but does that warrant an additional $49,000 in salary compared to her predecessor? And our new principal, Dr. Freitas, who has less principal experience than Ms. Matana, has a base salary of $135,000. He is being paid $1,000 more than she was paid last year, and yet he has none of her evaluative responsibilities. How is this being a fiscal steward of the district's money? President Smithing in the article stated that the board continues to worry about 2023 and paying off debt and the pension issue. How does the board justify the additional expenditures of both of these administrative salaries? The board has a right to pay its administration a competitive salary with bonuses if it so chooses. With $52,000 in bonuses, a $49,000 raise to the new CFO, a $1,000 higher starting salary for the new principal with a reduced job description, the board has sent the message that they value the work that these people do on a daily basis, and I do too. But the board has an elected duty to the education of the children of its constituents. If you are choosing to spend that much additional money, $102,000 more in salary and bonuses, and you have between $15.8 and $22.4 million in your savings, surely the board could have also chosen to spend the $22,000 or so needed to alleviate the unsafe overcrowding in all 12 chemistry classes, which would have had an incredibly positive impact on the 320 students in chemistry. But instead, those students have been negatively impacted by the choice not to spend that $22,000. This is unfortunate, especially since we have those financial resources. Lastly, this is not about spending money to just spend money, as President Smithing stated. Anyone who truly knows me knows I'm a very frugal person. I'm generous, but I strive never to be wasteful. I would never talk about raises for teachers. I would never talk about additional coaches. I'm talking about spending money that we taxpayers have paid on our students. And when a district does this, everyone wins. The students get a better education, test scores improve, which improves the rating of the district, which improves the property value of the taxpayers' homes. Teachers teach in better situations. We make more connections with students and families. We can provide more interventions. Again, every stakeholder wins. All of you are parents on the board, and you all know there's a significant difference between needs and wants. Right now, there are significant needs in this building that are not being properly met in student services, in the dean's office, in the nurse's office, in other departments. And unfortunately, there's a history of our school board not always being informed of the true needs of the building. It's time for this new Board of Education to do some solid fact gathering, to do some serious reflection, and do what is right educationally for all 1,660 plus students in its charge. The decisions you make truly have a tremendous impact on their education, one way or the other. Again, I thank you so much for listening and for the additional time. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Dave.
Absolutely.